Welcome. This is the second in a series of short videos summarizing the basic ideas and findings from the recently published second edition of our book, The Enthusiastic Employee: How Companies Profit by Giving Workers What They Want. I am Doug Klein. What does employee enthusiasm have to do with business success? From the organization's perspective, unless there's a connection between what workers want and the business results that organizations need, there is little reason to pursue the subject. In the second edition, we provide numerous illustrations of how a number of our clients have achieved noted long-term success in considerable measure due to how they lead and manage. These organizations have, on the surface, little in common. They vary by industry, geographical area, and business model. However, they do share one thing: the morale of their workers is much higher than most other companies. That is one of the key characteristics of virtually every company that has had long-term success. And the high morale of their workers is due to a culture, which we call partnership, that is embodied in specific policies and practices that engender enthusiasm in their employees for their jobs and their companies. As David Sirota said in the first video of this series, let's not get hung up in semantic and academic debates about differences in terms such as engagement, morale, commitment, or enthusiasm. We are talking about employees who care a lot, period. Enthusiastic employees are caught up in the organization and identify with it, so its successes and failures become, in effect, the employee's successes and failures. This is not too different from the avid sports fans living and dying with the ups and downs of his or her team. Employee enthusiasm is therefore not just a feeling or an attitude. It is a motivated state, impelling people to action. Unlike sports fans, employees can do a lot to directly affect the success of their team. In fact, if all they do is cheer from the sidelines, the company gets into trouble. Everyone who has worked knows the potential that can be tapped when people really care about their companies and their jobs. Enthusiastic employees produce, improve, motivate, innovate, and bring great credit to their companies based on their conduct and their attitudes. However, enthusiasm is not a recipe for perpetual bliss or automatic success, and it has little in common with contentment. Caring employees are often frustrated employees. Not only does their company sometimes lose, but in a changing and competitive business world, the status quo is rarely good enough. It's no wonder that people who strongly identify with an organization can often say, in response to praise about the organization's performance, that they are still unhappy with where things are. It's the curse of caring. A large and impressive body of evidence from solid, systematic research conducted across many companies clearly demonstrates the strong statistical relationship between policies and practices that generate employee enthusiasm and business performance. For example, Russell Investments, the firm responsible for the Russell market indices, has tracked the 1998 through 2010 performance of the S&P 500 against the stock returns of the publicly traded firms that made the list of the Fortune 100 best companies to work for. The 100 best companies had an average annualized return 275% higher than the S&P 500. That's the 11% versus the 4%. Similarly, the cumulative return figure, that is the total return for each year continuously added from 1998 to 2010, and then expressed as a percentage gained, was 291% for the 100 best list, as compared to only 63% for the S&P 500. Without question, investments in the 100 best companies to work for have greatly outperformed the S&P 500. The results of Sirota's own research on the relationship between employee morale and stock market performance are equally striking. With overall satisfaction data collected in 2011 as our measure, we divided companies into high, moderate, and low morale. Our conclusion: the higher the morale, the stronger the stock market performance relative to their industry peers. Thus, the high morale group outperformed its industry counterparts by 11 percentage points. The moderate morale companies outperformed its counterparts by a mere 0.8 percentage points, and the low morale companies were 13 percentage points lower than their counterparts. The relationship therefore holds up, and strongly, even after years of extraordinary turbulence in the stock market. In short, the evidence for the positive impact of very high levels of employee morale on business success is strong. However, there is no question that business performance also has a major impact on employee morale, because an organization that performs well generates employee pride, as well as optimism about job security and advancement opportunities. Furthermore, such organizations can afford to do concrete things, such as increase pay, that elevate morale. The research we and others have done, plus simple logic, suggests that the relationship between morale and performance is reciprocal. That is, each is both a cause and an effect of the other. The key points so far are as follows. People and their morale matter tremendously for business success, including customer satisfaction, as we show in the book. Employee morale is a function of the organization's culture, which is embodied in policies and daily management practices. And last, success breeds success. The better the individual and organization perform, the greater the employee morale, which, in turn, improves and sustains performance. As we shall see in the next video, the management policies and practices that matter most are those that boost an employee's sense of equity or fairness, achievement, and camaraderie. In conclusion, what leadership does, the sheer competence of it, such as setting business strategy, obviously has major and direct effects on employee performance and business success. But, as any true leader knows, having the correct strategy is just part of the story. To be fully realized, especially in the long term, the workforce at all levels needs to be mobilized in its execution, and key to that is knowing what employees want and giving it to them. That is the subject of our next video, the goals of people at work.